What is going on, everybody? Quaddy B back. We got Zaid with us today. Zaid, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Blake. Thank you for having me tonight.
You're very welcome, Zaid. So we're gonna go through the week 6 power rankings. We had some pretty big upsets this past week. A little bit of shake up in the rankings, so we'll kind of see how it goes. I know these are highly anticipated. We've got a lot of people asking about them, so we got to get these out real quick, Zaid. Give our input and make sure everyone's nice and happy in the chat. So let's go ahead and just dive right into them.
Let's get it. I'm ready.
Starting from the bottom.
10.
All right, number 10. We got no change. The return of the Mags still at number 10. Jimmy had a big win against the Cream Pies, but it still couldn't save him from the 10 spot. He's finally got Devontae Adams coming back. Maybe he can give him a little jump start into the kind of get back in the race here. Jimmy is at 2-3. I think we got 7 teams in the league at 2-3. So it's basically anyone's game at this point. He's got Le'Veon Bell as a free agent just right now. Who knows where he's going to end up? We'll see how Zeke ends up turning out now that Dak's injured. They might have to rely really heavily on Zeke and get a lot of the running game going. But really, for Jimmy to be, I think, anything in this league, he's going to really need Kyler, Zeke, and Devontae Adams to be great. What do you think, Zaid?
That is true. He really needs Mary, Zeke, and Devontae Adams to be great. For him to get past the 10th place. I mean, it's pretty rough. To have Devontae Adams injured starting the season. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was injured too, and then he came back and they just released him out of nowhere. I feel like Jimmy might have a better team in the coming weeks, but for now, it's I don't really like it.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Adams, I think being out definitely, I think that was a keeper for him. It was Devontae Adams and Zeke were his keepers. So obviously those are the cornerstones of this team. So hopefully Devontae can come back healthy and help him out. But all right, well, we'll keep on going. Get to number 9 now.
Number 9.
So coming in at number 9, we got Trevor's 4K Blu-ray player, or Team Tots. So we haven't had any change now in the 10 or 9 spot. Eric actually has 1/10 less of a point than Jimmy on the overall year. So they basically have the exact same score. But Eric actually has 4 players going on bye this week. And running back's just still a major problem for his team. So Zaid, what do you think about Eric coming in at number 9?
Yeah, I looked at Eric's team when I was doing the power ranks earlier tonight, and I saw 3 empty spots on his team, and one of them is a running back and one of them is a flex. And then I looked at his bench, and I was like, who's he gonna start? So that's a big question mark. I'm excited to see who's he trying to play. Maybe he's trying to pick a running back off the waiver wire, maybe a flex as well. So I want to see what his picks are gonna be. I don't really like his team, especially this week with like Metcalf out, Manuel Sanders, which has been amazing like this past week, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that, Trevor and Jim, or gosh, I keep saying Trevor because his name's Trevor's 4K Blu-ray player.
Same here.
Eric and Jimmy's team, I think, are so close, and I mean, they're like, they have the exact same points. They have 115.2 points per game. They're both 2-3 record. I think you kind of interchange them honestly at 9 and 8, but like we've talked about, like our league is honestly so close that they could be up one week, and I mean, who knows with COVID and injuries this season? Like, who knows what's going to happen?
That is so true. That is so true.
So, all right, well, we'll move on. We're gonna move on to number 8 now.
Number 8.
Number 8. I'm sorry to tell you, Zaid. The Zorillas have fallen to number 8. You had your first place vote in there though. You got your MVP Aaron Jones coming back off bye this week. Amari Cooper, I think, is going to be interesting for you. With Andy Dalton coming and losing Dak. I mean, Dak was on fire. So we'll really see if Amari Cooper can kind of keep up his production. I know he really struggled in that last game. You have something I want to ask you about, Zaid. You currently have 3 tight ends on your roster. They're all 3, I think, pretty good options. and you picked up Jono Smith off me. I might have given you a little bit of a gift there.
Uh,
But what are you gonna do with those 3 tight ends, Zaid?
okay, so I spent $25 on Jonas Smith when you dropped him because I drafted Evan Ingram. Uh, I mean, thinking he's gonna be like the top 10 tight end, and then week 1, week 2, week 3, and he haven't produced, he haven't performed. Even this past week, like he had like the best game so far, and he got 9.9 fantasy points. And so I picked Jonas Smith, and then right when I picked Jonas Smith, the COVID situation happened in Tennessee. So I was like, okay, I need Tanyan. So I picked Tanyan as well, and then I was like, I don't know when Jonas Smith is coming back, so it's between Tanyan and Evan Ingram. And I mean, as of now, I feel like I like my team. I mean, better weeks are coming. I had pretty rough week past week with playing for a net with 0 points. Um, 3 tight ends, we are back.
They are back. I
They are
just want to
back.
point out one thing to you, Zaid. Are you aware that the Cowboys, the last week, that was the first week that they have actually scored positive points on the season? Positive, their
Uh,
defense, I'm talking about.
I mean, I know. I picked him specifically for last week. I'm not necessarily starting them this coming week.
Okay.
Um,
A little
I'm
bit of
streaming
insight there. Look
defenses
out.
this year. Watch out for defenses.
$25 on a tight end. Who knows how much he's gonna spend on a defense there. So keep an eye on the Zorillas. I think you're always in contention, Zaid. Every year you keep learning more and more about football, and you're becoming a real force to be reckoned with. So I think Trevor better watch out, especially. But keep moving on.
Number 7.
Number 7, we have the return of the king, Booty Pebbles, dropping back down to number 7. Mark just keeps winning. He actually has a 4-1 record on the season, but he can't get in the top half of the power rankings. I mean, voters just don't seem to be impressed with some of his wins, and they're not impressed with his team. He had one first place vote, but again, I said it last week. I'll say it again. I think it's a little suspect. I cannot disclose where that first place vote came from. But there might be a little bit of favoritism from the home team in this situation here. Mike Davis has looked great for him since McCaffrey went down. McCaffrey is possible to be coming back. I think he's eligible this week. I don't know if he's practiced yet. I think I saw today that he's still been on the sidelines. But I mean, the big question is Mark going to do the Panthers stack? You know, if they start splitting carries between McCaffrey and Mike Davis, he might be in a real situation there, honestly, with McCaffrey not getting the usual production that he did. If Panthers are trying to kind of protect him and prolong his career there, he has Alexander Madison. Dalvin Cook's looking a little banged up. This might be what Mark has been waiting literally, I think, his whole life for. And I mean, the big thing is, though, with Mark's team is if you look at his bench, he actually has 75% of his bench is running backs. So it's going to come down, who is Mark going to play at running back? He always says running backs don't matter, but I think it's just because he secretly loves to hoard them. So,
I mean,
Zaid, what
that
you
is
got on
true.
Mark's team?
That is true. Mark always holds running backs. We saw that last year. We're seeing it again this year. I mean, he got really unlucky with McCaffrey getting injured and then Chubb now getting injured. Um, I really like Mike Davis. I don't know if I would like to start in both. I would probably like to see him both play if they are actually splitting carries. Um, and looking at Mark's receivers, makes me worry. Like, I like Robert Woods. I like McLaurin, but I don't know who he has for his wide receiver 3. Um, Gallup is not looking great. Even though he thinks he's the number 1 receiver on his team.
Well,
Um,
I'm sure he's in heaven right now because he has Andy Dalton coming in for the Cowboys, too. So he just thinks that Michael Gallup's probably going to blow up with Andy Dalton throwing on the ball.
I guess we're gonna see what's gonna happen next week.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and move on. Number 6 now.
Number 6.
Coming at 6, we have the Cream Pies with a 2-spot drop. So Jason actually lost to the number 10 team for the second week in a row. Just barely broke 100. He had really disappointing performances from James Robinson, Tyler Higbee, and a Deontay Johnson injury. Now, sources have told me this may be the week that he finally frees CD Lamb, which is, I believe, the best wide receiver on the Cowboys. Um, we've talked already several times, Zaid, about the Dak injury, so I don't know what CD Lamb's value is. I think Andy Dalton's a good quarterback. I just don't know how it's going to work out, especially with you have Dak that was throwing for like 500 yards on the Cowboys. Um, a big issue with Jason that I've noticed is his lack of being able to start the right court or right running backs every week. So he missed Joe Mixon's 41-point week. He started him this week. I think he ended up getting him maybe 11 or 12. He had like 3 or 4 running backs that outscored him on their bench. And I mean, that probably was the difference between him and Jimmy. I think he played Jimmy last week. So that was probably the major difference in that thing. So he has a big rivalry game coming up this week with the old Hippos. See if he can take down the Hips and see what kind of happens there. Zaid, what you think about Jason's team coming in here at number 6?
Yeah, on when I was doing the power ranks, I had to drop Jason a few spots. Not because his team is not good, because of how he's managing his team. And in the
Boom.
past years,
Roasted.
Jason used to talk shit to me about how like I don't manage to play the right players every week. And so far this season, I've been seeing that happening with the pies, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to do the right thing next week with sitting Joe Mixon, but I guess we'll see what he's gonna decide.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see if Jason can start taking some advice from Wolfie. I recommended it last week. I was like, Jason, you need to talk to Wolfie a little bit more about your start sit decisions. I recommended him
I
starting
agree.
CD Lamb, but he just doesn't seem to want to listen to anyone. And he's just gonna keep dropping. He's in a little bit of a free fall right now. 2 spots. I think that was the biggest on the week. That's a little yikes. You better look out, Green Pies. Boston's getting to his head there. Go
Hmm.
ahead and move on now.
Number 5.
Coming in at number 5, we got the Chain Gang still just sitting there in the same spot. So Trevor was able to finally stop his skid of losses and get the win over Team Tots or Trevor's 4K Blu-ray player. So he felt like everything was finally coming together for his team, and then the news hit. I don't remember if it was today or late last night, with Melvin Gordon finally getting in, or not finally, but getting in some legal trouble. So it looks like he's going to be missing his running back at least a couple weeks. I'm sure there's going to be a suspension coming up. He also has 4 players going on bye this week with Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson, his best flex player, or in his mind, his best flex player, Hunter Henry, and he won't be able to do his double tight end stack, which, ooh. And he's also going to be missing his Michael Slant Boy Thomas. So those are, I think, 4 pretty big players for him. I think I only. Oh no, I named. Okay, we're good. No, that's 3. I don't know who the 4th was. 4th probably
Tre'Quan
wasn't
Smith.
important. Oh yeah, Tre'Quan
Tre'Quan
Smith. Who
Smith.
cares? So yeah, he's got these guys coming on by this week, so we'll kind of see what he's able to pull out. And I think he's a little bit upset that things just haven't really fallen his way this year. I think he's the third highest scoring team in the league, and he only has 2 wins. So he's just kind of gotten poor luck of the draw this year. I think he has a pretty good team. We made fun of him for them being old at the draft, but I think they've kind of worked out. He's gotten a couple big games from OBJ. So yeah, Zaid, what you think about Trevor at number 5?
I mean, I think it's a fair pick. I think Trevor, like, he deserves to be better, but right now with the losses, you can't rank like a losing team higher than 5. Like you really can't. And then looking at his team, like I really mocked him picking Beckham and like how he was not startable last year, and Odell actually scored like 29 or 28 points against me when I played him. So I mean, I still like Odell. I still think he's a good player, but it's the Browns. It's not Odell. I, Ingram, same with Ingram. It's like how they play Mark Ingram. Nah, not Mark Ingram himself. I still think Mark Ingram is a really good running back. And overall, his team. I mean, I think this week he's gonna struggle with all his buys, but um, we'll see because he's facing Austin, the Nutcrackers, who has a lot of players on buy as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a interesting matchup. That has a potential, I think, to be actually a little low scoring, which is kind of interesting because it's actually two playoff teams, I believe, right now in our standings. And we'll get to Austin, but he was a top team, I think, in the league, but he took a hit pretty
Yeah, and
big this past week.
they're both one of the two high, like they're two of the high scoring teams as well. So I want to see how this goes this week.
Yeah, so that should be an interesting matchup for sure this week. We'll go ahead and hit up number 4.
Number 4.
Coming in number 4, we had the largest climb in the power rankings of Dustin. So he actually took a 4-spot jump up this week from 8 last week, even when coming off a loss to the Nutcrackers. So I think I don't really know what happened here, honestly, how we got up to 4. DJ Moore finally had a pretty good game. Josh Allen, I think, looked pretty human in the Titans game, and it wasn't necessarily the MVP performances he's put up the other games that we've seen this year. Justin Jefferson's magic kind of finally wore off. I think he only had like 2 or 3 points. And the running back position is still just a problem for the Hippos, where they don't have Saquon. Kenyon Drake has not looked good this year. It looks like Chase Edmonds cutting into his work pretty exponentially. I think Dustin, I don't know. Him at 4 is interesting, but like we've said, like these can just shift around so much with how teams are. I think it's just weird that he took a 4-spot jump coming off of a loss to Austin.
Yeah, that's true. Like since we started the power ranks, I've been wondering when Dustin is gonna go because I thought he's gonna be ranked way lower than 4th. Um, I don't necessarily hate his team, but I see a lot of injuries, a lot of like I mean this past week DJ Moore played good, Keenan and Allen played good, but I'm still not convinced with his team with Saquon's injury. So I don't know. I'll see. We'll see how him and the cream pies matchup will look like this week, and maybe that will maybe bump him even higher or lower.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I guess Dustin's or losing's working out for Dustin, so maybe if he loses, he might end up being number 1 or something. Well,
That is true.
who knows,
It
man? We'll
works like
see.
that. That's how it is for IBM.
Number 3.
So coming in at number 3, we got a Nutcracker still sitting there. So Austin's team, and oh man, so he's still the highest scoring team in the league, but I get the sense of that meme with Thanos where he's sitting there and it's like, what did it cost? And it cost everything. So he has Eckler on the IR right now. He lost Dak. Dak was probably, I'm assuming he's probably the number 1 quarterback so far on the year. He was just lighting it up every week. And he has 4 huge starters for him on bye this week. So he has Josh Jacobs, Chris Carson, Tyler Lockett, and Darren Waller. I know Jacobs and Waller, Austin's always been the Raiders guy. Waller's probably the face of his franchise for the Nutcrackers. He'll be on that team until he retires. So he's going to have to be relying on the Clemson duo of DeAndre Hopkins and T. Higgins. Those are my boys out there. I got a lot of faith in those guys, but he'll definitely be relying on them to carry the Nutcrackers this week with his big matchup with Trevor. What do you think about Austin's situation currently, Zaid?
Okay, so currently, if I was Austin, I wouldn't be super happy about my team. For this week, looking at the buys, looking at Dak, like missing Dak. Like Dak was great. Like look at Dak's number this year, and like I mean, I think he is the number 1 ranked, if I'm not wrong. And seeing him go down, I mean, it was really sad, but it's absolutely gonna affect the Nutcrackers in the quarterback position. And I would really want to see who is gonna fill up for his tight end and flex for this week.
It'll definitely be interesting. I'm sure he'll be very busy on waivers and having a lot of claims and a lot of money spent on the Nutcracker side. So go ahead and move along.
Number 2.
Coming in at number 2, we still got the Gibsons. So they had actually 3 first place votes. And Collins' team is just solid, honestly. He's been really carried, I think, by Kamara and Dalvin Cook. He's had really good running back play out of those 2 guys. He is going to be missing Alvin Kamara this week off bye. There's also a little concern of Dalvin Cook. I think he had a hip injury or something. And it's looking like he might be able to miss, or he might miss this week, which would be a pretty big hit on Collins' team. But he's still 4-1. I think this is probably going to be the biggest challenge he's faced so far this season. He seemed to not have too many injuries or COVID-related issues or anything like that. So this is going to be the first major test for Colin. I know he's not always the most active member in the chat or super active even on waivers and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how he can kind of respond to a little bit of a challenge to his team.
Yeah, his team this week with Alvin Kamara on bye and Dalvin Cook might not play this week is going to be rough if it actually happens. And I would like to see how Colin's going to manage that situation. I mean, right now he has David Johnson and Dondrick Swift in his running back spots. And if Dalvin Cook doesn't play, then I mean he has Samuel, Gage, and Watkins to play, and the rest are on bye. So I don't know. I really want to see if Colin's gonna hit the waivers this week. I mean everyone with buys, like we have 3 or 4 teams are getting hit hard by bye this week, and I want to see how the waiver wire is gonna turn out for Colin if he actually goes for somebody.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see if Colin is able to get some waivers in, or if he even knew that waivers were actually running on Thursday this week. So he might be looking at his team right now like, what the heck? I don't have anyone. What am I gonna do? But we'll definitely see. Yeah, we'll see how he's able to recover from his current situation. So we'll move on.
Number 1.
Coming in at the number 1 spot. I didn't really want to be here. It's me. I feel like I'm cursed, honestly, being at number 1. I don't like it because everyone expects my team to do great, and then they don't. And it forces me into stressful situations where I pick the wrong player to play, like Scotty Miller. T's and P's to his family. He is no longer on the Baby Bears, so he'll be unemployed and looking for a new job. Hopefully not in anyone's team in our league. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. And there's news coming out now that Le'Veon Bell is potentially going to go to Kansas City, and I'm just sitting here praying, like, please don't do that to CEH. Mark's talking about some injury to CEH. I don't really know what he's talking about, but if he's injured, then I'm just going to cry a little bit. But I mean, I feel like my team's I've been solid, and I haven't gotten the big week yet out of my team that I've expected. Miles Sanders finally showed a flash last week. He scored in the 20s. Matt Ryan absolutely laid an egg of like 9 points or some crap. And I'm like, what are you doing against the Carolina Panthers, who almost always tear us up? Seems like you didn't even realize Calvin Ridley existed until the second half. I mean, my receivers are good. My running backs, I think, are pretty good. I do have some depth. David Montgomery has been looking pretty good, and I think he has a pretty decent schedule the rest of the year. James Conner has stayed healthy, knock on wood, for the past couple weeks, and he's looked pretty good. CEH has been a little shaky, but the Chiefs' offense as a whole, I think, has been sputtering a little bit, if I'm being honest. I think the undefeated season was really getting to him, but maybe they'll be able to pick it up now and kind of get back rolling. I'm really hoping Godwin's able to come back. I'll get Galladay coming off bye. Cam, I think, got announced today that he's going to be healthy and able to play. So I'll get quarterback back. We back, Zaid. We are back.
You are back. Cam already showing healthy on ESPN.
Yeah, man, we're back. So the Booty Pebbles better look out this week because the Baby Bears are angry.
Yeah, the Baby Bears their team or your team is great. I really like it. I mean, you absolutely still have not had your best week yet. Um, I would say you've had like less than average. Like if you would compare like where your average team would be, like scoring per game, your team been performing a little bit less than average. But I think your team will be back. Like it has to. Like you have great players, and you will be back, and hopefully against Mark this week.
I feel confident long term with my team just because I do have the depth and um I mean like we've been saying, like I don't think they've reached their full potential yet. I think my team's honestly played bad. It seemed like I've had a couple players go off here and there. I had Calvin Ridley have a good week. Miles Sanders had a good week this past week. Um Mark
And you've had
Andrews has had some good weeks, but they haven't all hit together yet. They've kind of been high and low, and I need them to just be consistent. But I think I've been a pretty consistent 100, 110, 120, 130 score. So I've been up there in scoring. It's just I've gone against a little bit tougher opponents, and then I've had some down plays, and I played Scotty Miller with a 0. So
I mean, I played for net with a 0, and like your team, that you've been getting injuries like every week. Every week, have been somebody is out. So like you still haven't got your full team yet. So
the factory is like I don't know what the factory is anymore. I don't want to say it's back. I don't want to say it's back. If anything,
it,
I'm gonna say it's closed and maybe we'll perform this week, but I probably just jinxed it because I'm just the worst at jinxing my own team apparently. But so that's gonna wrap up our power rankings. You can kind of see the votes. We had 4 first place votes for me, 3 for Colin, 1 for Mark, and 1 for Zaid. Um, other than we had a couple guys drop and Dustin with the big shoot up, everyone else kind of stayed the same. Um, we got some big matchups this week. I know buys are hitting a lot of people hard now. It seems that the Titans kind of got everything under control now with COVID. Hopefully the NFL can get a solid schedule. I bet they're going to take things a lot more seriously now that they're having these issues pop up. But the injuries have been continuing with Dak. We got Le'Veon Bell waiting to see what he's going to be doing going to. So there's a lot of stuff up in the air right now. And like we've said several times, this league's very, very close. We have 7-2-3 teams. We got Colin at 4-1 and Mark at 4-1, and then Austin at 3-2. And that's literally the whole league. So it's up in the air right now. People are scoring pretty consistent across the board. It's anyone's game every week. So we got a really good competitive week going or league going this week. The one person I do have to call out is Colin. Get your power rankings in. You were the only one missing this week, so that's unfortunate, and you need to do better. So, Zaid, any closing remarks on these power rankings or anything in general? How's your
uh,
life going, man?
I mean, my life is great. I really enjoyed the power rankings with you, and I don't know if we mentioned it, but you never told me the rankings before we started, so I was surprised as everyone will be with all the rankings, and I feel like this year, like the first and the last are like we're pretty like we're not the same team, but we're pretty close. The rankings can change a lot in one week, as you said. Austin climbed 4 spots this week. Um, he can climb more. Somebody else can get 5 spots maybe next week. Maybe somebody will drop 5 spots next week. So it's interesting. So I'm excited to see how this coming week will come along. And I really appreciate you having me, and I feel really honored.
No problem, Zaid. You're definitely welcome. You were an awesome guest. Definitely try to get you back and get some other guests on the show. I would like to invite a invitation directly to Mike 2, the leading statistician for any given Sunday and just everything fantasy football. He lives and breathes fantasy football, so we'd love to get him on the show and get some in-depth analysis on the Weekend Dads League and just some really an outside look and an outside view of what people from the not within the league kind of see going on and what they think of our teams and all that. So we'll definitely see about getting some more guests on the show.
That'd be
Keeping
nice.
these power rankings going. So thank you for coming on, Zaid, and thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you like the video, comment, leave your reactions down below in the comments to the power rankings, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and yeah, keep tuning in. See you guys.